Have you ever held on to a grudge for so long that it felt like a part of you? That was Marc. For 10 long years, he carried a heavy, invisible weight on his shoulders, a grudge against his own brother, Antoine. It all started with a business disagreement, a silly fight that spiraled into a decade of silence. This weight wasn't just a memory, it was a constant presence. It soured his moods, strained his other relationships, and cast a long, dark shadow over his life. Unforgiveness, you see, is like carrying a backpack full of rocks. You might get used to the weight, but it's always there, slowing you down, draining your energy, and keeping you from truly moving forward. Marc thought he was strong for holding on, but really he was just trapped. One Tuesday morning, disaster struck in the most mundane way. Marc was working from home, a steaming mug of coffee right next to his laptop. You can probably guess what happened next. A clumsy gesture, a sudden spill, and his entire digital life fizzled out in a dark, silent screen. The frustration was immediate and volcanic. But since he couldn't yell at the coffee or the laptop, all that white-hot anger needed a target. And that's when his loyal dog, Barnabé, trotted into the room, tail wagging, completely oblivious. In that moment of blind rage, Marc saw Barnabé not as a friend, but as another thing in his way. He yelled at the poor dog, a torrent of unfair, angry words, and banished him to the garden, slamming the door shut. The silence that followed was heavy, not with peace, but with shame. Marc sat there, his heart pounding, the broken laptop forgotten, realizing he had just punished the one being in his life who had given him nothing but unconditional love. After what felt like an eternity, Marc slowly got up and opened the door to the garden. He was expecting Barnabé to be cowering in a corner, or maybe even angry in his own dog-like way. But that's not what happened. The moment the door opened, Barnabé trotted right back to him, tail wagging just as eagerly as before. He licked Marc's hand, not with hesitation, but with pure, unadulterated joy. There was no resentment, no grudge. It was as if the yelling had never happened. In that moment, Marc was struck by a powerful thought, a bit like the old scripture about forgiving 70 times 7. For Barnabé, their relationship was more important than the mistake. The connection they shared was stronger than any temporary anger or hurt. It was a profound lesson in a simple wag of a tail. A dog doesn't keep score. For a dog, love is always the default setting, and forgiveness is just the way back to it. Standing there in the doorway, with Barnabé's warm, forgiving presence at his feet, something inside Marc finally clicked. He looked at his phone, the device that had felt so useless just moments ago. He opened his messages, found Antoine's name, a name he hadn't typed in a decade, and wrote a simple message. "Hey, it's been a while. Want to get some coffee?" He hit send before he could second-guess himself. As soon as the message was delivered, an incredible lightness washed over him. It felt as if a heavy, rusty lock inside his chest had finally sprung open. The 10-year weight, the backpack full of rocks, just vanished. He wasn't just forgiving his brother, he was freeing himself. I love the quote that says, "Forgiveness doesn't change the past, but it does enlarge the future." Marc's past with his brother didn't disappear, but suddenly, their future was a blank page, full of possibilities. Forgiveness isn't about saying what happened was okay. It's about saying it no longer has power over you. It's about choosing freedom over bitterness, connection over isolation. My friend Barnabé the dog understood this instinctively. It took Marc a broken laptop and a moment of shame to catch up. So, I'll ask you the same question Marc had to answer for himself. Who do you need to forgive today? Not for them, but for you. Who do you need to let off your leash so that you can finally run free? Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, please give it a like and subscribe for more.